Mike is in Utah. Hey, Mike, welcome to the EntreLeadership podcast.
Thank you, Dave. So I am a PM supervisor for an AV company based in Utah, and I got a sticky situation going on. So I've been working for the company for about 6 months now, and I moved up the chain really quick from just a crew member to a PM supervisor just because he says I was really outstanding and going, but...
Preventive maintenance for those out there listening, right?
Yep. So I finally got to the position where I, could help address issues with employees and everything. So over the last week or two, I've started listening to the employees and what their issues are. And there's two main issues: is a payroll issue, and the co-owner is not very nice to his employees, as I should say. And where it gets sticky is because I am dating the co-owner's daughter, so I don't want to, push too far and end up in a bad situation. What would you recommend me doing in that situation?
So the guy that's a jerk to the employees, you're dating his daughter?
Yes. So that's why it complicates a lot of things.
Yeah, this is not going to go well, is it?
No, and he is not the nicest guy to try to talk to, but he is always
Now, how would that be for a father-in-law?
Yeah, it's not very well.
Yeah, yuck.
But it's he asks why can't we keep employees? But nobody will address it to him. So I want to finally bring it up to him. I just don't know.
So he asked you these questions, and so you went on a listening tour with the employees at his request.
Correct.
And so the questions he wanted answers to, the answers are he's a jerk and there's a payroll problem.
Correct. And I just don't know how to, address the situation without causing conflict in the workplace.
Okay. Does the girl you're dating, his daughter, work there?
She does not.
Okay. All right. Well, number one, you don't discuss any of this with her.
Yes.
Under any circumstances. That would be unethical and highly inappropriate. Until you've talked to him about what he told you to do, you don't talk to his family about it just because you're dating her.
Yes.
So how long y'all been dating?
We've been together for about 3 years, and I've been working for him for about 6 months now.
Oh, so you're dating before you came to work there?
Correct.
Okay. Well,
so he offered me the job when.
And so, did you see a different side of him before you were working there?
Oh yeah, a complete different side of him. He used to be sweet, caring, and nice to me, but as soon as I started working with him, outside of work got pretty bumpy too.
And yet, he handed all this over to you.
Yeah, and there comes the second part: is the owner is upset with him because. She says, I'm stepping on toes because I am trying to, help build the company, and it's making employees upset. So I'm like, do I back down?
I'm sorry. Who's you mean the other owner?
Yeah. So we got an owner and the co-owner. So they're both family ties to the company. So they are family, basically.
And the other person doesn't want you doing what he asked you to do.
Correct. And there is no communication in the workplace. Mm-hmm. And that's why it's so hard to, discuss certain situations, is because one side gets hurt, but the right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing. 21.
Oh, good Lord. Okay.
So.
And what do you make?
I make $22 an hour, and that's where it gets complicated because there's a guy that's been here for 5 years, and he's making $19.75 an hour. Mm-hmm. And he is a AM team lead or AM supervisor.
Is that the payroll problem you're talking about, that the payroll's not equal and everybody knows what the other one makes and they're not happy about it?
Well, not just that, but other companies, the couple of guys were like, well, I could go work for another AV company, and they're starting at 26 an hour, and their starting wage here is 20. So
why doesn't he?
Exactly, because he's about to, because he's not getting what he wants to be paid. So I'm like, well, you guys are losing employees, A, because of your payroll, and B, because of your behavior towards your employees. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know if I should address that to him.
It's it's the compensation plan is what you're talking about. But yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm like, do I just wing it and hope for the best?
No, because it's not going to get better.
Yeah. And I'm like,
okay, I'm trying to think that is there a scenario where you sit down and talk to these two owners and give them this information and they change these two things as a result of you giving them both the information, and then peace sets in the valley and everything becomes okay? I'm kind of thinking that's not going to happen under any circumstances.
No, because I tried to address the payroll issue with the owner while they were out of town, and she says,
"No, well, I'm talking about you got to quit doing that, because y'all are like mom and dad against the kid, and the kids pulling mom and dad against each other and all that. The three of you have to get in a room and solve both of these issues, and it's the only shot you've got. And so go, okay, number one, do you want me to work on this? Both of you look at each other and decide that right now. If you do, I have some conclusions I can tell you. If you don't, I'll walk out of here and shut up and never say another word, and y'all will deal with it." And if they raise their hand and say, "Okay, what'd you find?" You say, "Okay, I found these two things. One is the way we're treating people, not treating them with dignity, and the way we're addressing them is not working." Okay, we don't have to soft pedal, but we do have to be at least, we can be direct, we can confront issues, but we don't have to be jerks about it. And the people are tired of being talked down to. They're tired of that. Number two, our pay scale is not up to market on several of the folks, and we're going to lose them if we don't adjust their comp to at least market. Those are the two things I have discovered. Now, I'm only 21 years old, and I don't know nothing. But that's what the people have been telling me, and I'm passing that on to you for what it's worth. Now, if they took that and said, "Oh, we're going to start, being normal human beings and be good leaders, and, oh, we've got to go through and do a comp study and change everything," the chances of that happening, Mike, is about zero.
Yeah.
So I think you're going to be working somewhere else.
Yeah, because, even... the owner is planning to retire here in the next year and a half, and everybody's like, the company's going to sink once the co-owner takes it over. So,
yeah, which happens to be your potential father-in-law.
Yeah.
Gee, what a mess.
The whole reason I started working there is because he says, "Well, in 5 or 6 years, you guys will be taking over." But as soon as I started,
I don't want to take this over. Why do I want to rearrange the chairs on the deck of the Titanic?
Yep, exactly.
No thanks. Let the deck chairs sit where they are. So, and I guess you could pose it to that and say, "Okay, look, you're thinking about retiring. You're talking about me taking this over someday, although you're only 21. So that's a decade away, Mike. You got to put up with this crap for a decade. And if these characters aren't going to behave, life is too short. You're better off to work somewhere else." And so I think your only shot is to sit down with both of them and have a very candid conversation. I'm even though you're very articulate and it sounds like you've thought this through with a wisdom beyond your years, I think your age is going to work against you in this conversation. Because I think these two old dinosaurs are going to be Godzilla versus King Kong in there, and they're going to just squash you in the conversation.
Yeah, and that's what my other issue was too. Is they're going to be like, "What do you know about running a business?"
You're but you asked me.
Exactly.
I didn't come in here unsolicited. You asked me to go do this. Now, do you want to know the results of what I did? If not, I'll walk out here and not say another word. And if they say, "Okay, we don't want to know," okay, walk out of there and go look for a job, dude. Get out of there. Because this is not going to get better. These people are not going to deal with their issues, and or at least what you perceive them to be. And so you're going to be, at a minimum, dissatisfied and uncomfortable. And then you've got the hard job of never saying anything negative about your girlfriend's dad to her. And you cannot say a word negative. I mean, relationally, you can't do that. That's just stupid. So, you're going to be biting your tongue and blood's going to be running around inside your mouth while you're, trying to have conversation. Well, what happened? Well, I just couldn't work there. I just thought I need to go somewhere else. And you just got to keep real high road. But if you sit down the only shot you got is sit down in person with both of them and ask a series of questions that lead them to ask you what your findings are. And then you ask and say, "Okay, what can be done about this, or what are you going to do about it, or, how can I help, or how can I serve you, or something like that. And they say, well, screw it, we're not doing anything about it. Then you go, okay, the place is going down, and I'm not going to be here and rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. That's the deal. So, man, what a mess. But you took the job while dating the girl. Whew. Man, that's a tangled mess. This is the EntreLeadership Podcast.